Welcome back to a new episode of the Leading Yourself podcast. I'm so excited you're back for this episode. Today is going to be very powerful, I promise. We're going to be talking about questions, not the ones that other people ask you, but the ones that you ask yourself. Because here's one thing that I've learned: the quality of your life is shaped by the quality of the questions that you ask yourself. So today, I want to share with you the 10 best questions that I've ever asked myself. These are the ones that I keep coming back to again and again, the ones that help me make pivots in my career, launch this podcast, take risks, say no, say yes, and become more of me in the process. So grab a notebook if you want, or just sit back listening and see which one lands for you. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Leading Yourself podcast. This is your host, Carolina de Arriba. I'm an HR professional, health and fitness coach, wife, mom, and above all things, a goal-getter. In this podcast, we're going to be digging into all things leadership, professional and career development, habits, and relationships. This is a podcast for those who want to become the best version of themselves. Those who have big dreams and are willing to embrace the journey and put in the work to achieve them. My goal is to share with you the tools, tips, and tricks to help you in your journey. So let's dig into today's episode. Today's podcast is putting my resilience to test. I've been recording it. I recorded it completely for you. And then I don't know what, but I'm having some technical issue. It's not processing. I keep waiting and waiting for hours. It's not working. So I'm back to me 6 years ago when I recorded the first episode of this podcast, like holding my phone on my hand and recording out of my phone. So if the quality audio is not 100%, that's why. But I promise the content is going to compensate for any of that, because I believe today's episode is super powerful. It can be life-changing, is one that I think you're going to keep coming back to over and over for a long time. Let me set a little bit the stage for today's episode. See, I've been always someone who reflects a lot. After wrapping up a project, after having a conversation with someone, at the end of the day, I always reflect on the experience, on the situation. But I haven't always been someone who asks better questions. For a long time, I've asked myself things like, what can I not figure this out? Or what's wrong with me? Or why this isn't working? And do you know what those questions get you to, or at least have gotten me to? Shame, frustration, stuckness. But when I started learning how to ask more empowering questions, curious questions, compassionate questions, honest questions, where is the pattern? What are the questions that I keep coming back to over and over again? What has been the questions that I've asked myself that has been most impactful in my life? And I narrowed it down to 10. And that's what we're talking about today. So let's get started. The first question is, what would I do if I wasn't afraid? Let me say this question changed everything for me. It's the one that led me to start this podcast. It's the one that made me hit record when I still cringe at the sound of my own voice. It's the one that gave me the courage to leave my job, to say yes to new countries, to pivot, even when I didn't have a map. It's a simple question, but don't let it fool you because it holds such power. We all feel fear, every single one of us. Fear of failing, fear of being judged, fear of not being good enough, even fear of success, fear of the unknown, fear of what people might say, fear of losing what we've worked so hard to build. And most of us, what do? We wait. We wait to feel ready. We wait for fear to disappear. We wait for certainty, for signs, for someone to tell us that is okay. But what if that day never comes? What if you are the permission slip? I want you to imagine your life like if it was a car. And fear, well, fear is in the car with you and it's not going anywhere. The mistake a lot of us make is letting it sit on the driver's seat. When fear is driving, you stay parked or you loop around the same block over and over again. You never get where you want to go. So instead of trying to kick fear out of the car completely, which by the way, I don't think it's realistic, I've learned to move it to the passenger seat or even better to the back seat. And when I feel stuck or scared or unsure, I come back to this one question: what would I do if I wasn't afraid? Notice I didn't say, how do I remove fear? It's not, what should I do? It's not even, what's the right decision? It is truly a clarifying question. It reveals what I already know deep down, and often the answer is simple and bold. I would launch the thing. I would set the boundary. I would apply for the role. I would take the trip. I would speak up in that meeting. I would trust myself. It's the question that led me to quit my job after 13 years and switch industries. It's the question that led me to move to different countries where I didn't know anyone. It's the question that led me to trust my voice and start this podcast. And the beautiful thing is, every time you answer this question and act from that place, you stretch your capacity for courage. Because fear doesn't leave, but your ability to move despite the fear gets stronger. So today, I want you to invite you to ask yourself this question: what would you do if you weren't afraid? And then what's one small step that you can take in that direction? Not to erase fear, but to prove to yourself that fear doesn't get to decide, you do. Question number 2: what's not longer working? This question is one of the most grounding and clarifying tools that I've ever used, especially during times of transition or seasons where I feel overwhelmed. Here's the thing: we all grow, we evolve, we shift, and sometimes what used to fit us perfectly no longer does. But we don't always realize it or don't want to realize it. Because change, even when necessary, it's hard. That's the truth. So what do? We stay. We stay in the job that we've outgrown. We stay in the routines that no longer energize us. We stay in mindsets we inherited but never question. We stay in commitments that once felt aligned but now feel heavy. Why? Because we're attached. We are attached to the plan. We are attached to the version of ourselves who made that decision. We're attached to what it meant when we first said yes. But the truth is, just because something used to work doesn't mean it still serves you today. And that's where this question comes in: what's not longer working? It sounds simple, but it takes courage to answer it. It requires honesty, not shame, not judgment, but honest reflection. I remember asking myself this question at a time when I was doing all the things, checking every box. I had the dream job, the routines, the calendar full of goals and commitments, but I was exhausted, and not just physically, but energetically. When I finally sat with this question, what's not longer working, the answers start pouring in. That morning routine I was hanging to, it needed to evolve. That version of productivity that I've been chasing was burning me out. That job title that I've worked so hard for, it didn't align with who I was becoming. But I couldn't see that until I asked the question. You see, the mind loves familiarity. Even if it's not working, even if it's draining, familiar feels safe. So we keep pushing, we blame ourselves, we think maybe I just need to try harder, or maybe I am the problem, or maybe this is just a rough patch. But the truth is, sometimes things stop working, not because you failed, but because you've outgrown them. So let that sink in. Asking what's not longer working isn't about blaming anyone or anything. It's about clearing the noise so you can move forward with alignment. So let me ask you now and give you a moment to reflect. What in your life feels heavier than it used to? What have you been forcing or tolerating instead of reevaluating? What's a habit, a schedule, a commitment, a belief, or an environment that might no longer serve the version of you that you're becoming? And here's the key: you don't have to burn it all down. It's not about throwing your life into chaos, it's about making small, conscious adjustments that bring you back into flow. Sometimes that's a small tweak. Sometimes it's setting a boundary. Sometimes it's saying goodbye. But naming what's not longer working, that's where the power starts. So today, I invite you to take a deep breath and ask gently what's not longer working for me. And let the answer rise. Let it sink in. Question number 3: am I being busy or intentional? This one hits close to home. For so long, I wore busy like a badge of honor. If I wasn't rushing from one meeting to the next, squeezing in one more task before bedtime, or juggling three things at the same time, I felt guilty. Does that sound familiar? We live in a world that rewards hustle. We're praised for being productive, for being available, for checking every box. But what I learned, and I learned in the hard way, is that being busy doesn't mean that you're being intentional. In fact, busyness can be a form of avoidance. I used to think I was getting things done, being efficient, productive, but when I finally slowed down enough to reflect, I realized I wasn't being effective. I was just staying in motion to avoid being still, because stillness can be uncomfortable. I don't know for you, but it is for me. Stillness and silence are two things that feel very uncomfortable for me. But stillness brings clarity, and clarity forces us to confront things like: am I on the right path? Is this project even aligned with my goals, the goals of my team, the goals of the organization? Am I feeling space to avoid discomfort? That's when this question came to me: am I being busy or intentional? It's a check in. Now, when I feel overwhelmed by my schedule or drained at the end of the day, I take a pause and I ask, is this what I'm doing right now? Is it aligned with what actually matters to me or what matters to my team, to our organization? If the answer is yes, I keep going. But if the answer is no, then it's just noise. Busyness is a distraction. Intentionality is direction. One keeps you spinning, the other one moves you forward with clarity, with purpose. And here's something I found very helpful. When I do fewer things with intention, I get better results. And I feel better doing that. So I've started looking at my calendar differently. I audit my energy and I ask, what's essential? What's just a habit? What am I saying yes that is really a no? Because you don't need to do more. You need to do more of what matters, both professionally and personally. So today, just check in with yourself. Where are you being busy to have this illusion of feeling productive? And where are you being intentional to really feel fulfilled? It's not the same thing, but asking this question can help you to find your way back. I'll confess I'm not perfect. My days, if you look at my calendar, is completely packed. And I find myself asking this question almost daily these days. Sometimes it brings clarity and I'm able to make some bold choices and decisions about how my calendar looks and what I might focus on. Sometimes I feel like other people are dictating my priorities, and those are not aligned with my own priorities personally, or my team's priorities, or my organization priorities. And it's been a journey. I'm not perfect. I haven't figured it out all yet, but this is the question that is helping me doing that. Question number 4: what am I pretending not to know? And what assumptions am I making? This one, let's be honest, deep down, most of us already know the answer. We know when something is not aligned. We know when we're settling. We know when we're shrinking, avoiding, staying too long, or playing small. But we've become masters at not knowing, at pretending we don't know or we don't see what we see, convincing ourselves that it's fine or it's not that bad. Why? Because facing the truth comes with consequences, with change, with discomfort. And our brains just want to keep us safe. Even if that quote unquote safety is a situation that's draining our energy or disconnecting us from ourselves. That's why this question is so powerful and so uncomfortable. What am I pretending not to know? The moment I started asking this question, honestly, things started to shift. I realized I was pretending not to know that the job that once excited me left me empty, that my calendar was full, but my soul was starving, that I was ignoring signs of my body, pushing through fatigue, skipping rest, that I had stopped dreaming bigger dreams out of fear of rocking the boat. And then there's the second part of the question, the one that really gets under the surface. What assumptions am I making? Because right next to our denial often leaves a whole bundle of unexamined assumptions. If I quit, I'll be letting everyone down. If I slow down, I will fall behind, or others will think that I'm lowering my standard. I can't ask for support. They'll think that I'm not capable, or this is just the way it is for someone like me. But here's the thing, assumptions are not facts. They're stories that we've repeated so many times to ourselves that they start to sound like truth. So when you pair these two questions together, what am I pretending not to know and what assumptions am I making? You start to unlock clarity. You start to break free. Let me give you an example in my own life. When I was thinking of leaving a job that I've been in for over a decade, I keep telling myself, this is an amazing job. I should be grateful. I've worked so hard to now walk away. What if I don't find something better? All of these things, all of were dialogues that I was having with myself. But when I asked myself these two questions, here's what I uncovered. What I was pretending not to know is that I had outgrown the role, that the role was not aligned with who I was becoming. I wanted more alignment, more impact, more growth. And when I answer the questions, what assumptions am I making? I found the answer was that leaving meant failure, that staying was the most responsible thing to do, that I couldn't trust myself to start over. And once I named those truths and questioned those assumptions, I was able to make new choices, more honest choices, more empowering ones, more liberating ones. So today, I want to invite you to sit with these two questions. What am I pretending not to know? And what assumptions am I leaving by, and are they actually true? Write them down, say them out loud, let them guide your next brave step. This isn't about blaming yourself, it's about freeing yourself. That's an important mindset to have when you start answering these questions. Moving on, question number 5, who do I want to become? This question, in my opinion, is the heartbeat of personal growth. It's easy to set goals. We're all taught to chase outcomes. I want to lose weight. I want to have a 6-figure salary. I want to get a promotion. I want to write a book. But if we stop there, we're missing something huge. Because behind every outcome, it's an identity that we're reaching for, a version of ourselves that we're trying to step into. And when we skip that step, when we only focus on the results, we risk setting goals that aren't aligned. Or we reach the goal and still feel unfulfilled. That's why this question has become a core part of my own growth practice. Who do I want to become? It shifts the focus from what do I want to do to who do I want to be. Do I want to become someone who keeps promises to herself? Someone who's grounded in confidence, not needing to prove anything? Someone who speaks kindly to herself? Someone who is present with her family at dinner instead of distracted and overwhelmed? Someone who prioritizes rest, not because she earned it, but because she's worth it of it. When you get clear on who you want to become, your goals start to make more sense. Suddenly, it's not just I want to exercise more, but it's I'm becoming someone who values her energy. It's not about I want to write more, it's about I'm becoming someone who gives a voice to her thoughts. That question has shaped every part of my personal growth journey: my career, my health, my relationships, motherhood, leadership. It even shaped this podcast because the woman I want to become, she's brave enough to speak. She shares even when her voice shakes. She leads from a place of curiosity and not perfection. So, here's something I do regularly, and I want to invite you to try this. You can do it on a journal, or like me, I keep a note on my phone. And the title of the note is I am the type of person who, and then finish that sentence again and again. I do this on a regular basis and I keep adding things, editing things, deleting things from that note. I am the type of person who keeps going when it gets hard. I am the type of person who rests without guilt. I am the type of person who celebrates others without comparing. I am the type of person who chooses presence over performance. Write it until something clicks. Because once you know who you want to become, you can ask the next powerful question: what does that version of me do today? Not someday. Know when you hit the goal, today. Maybe she speaks up in a meeting. Maybe she makes a nourishing lunch for herself. Maybe she puts her phone away and looks at her children in their eyes. It's not about becoming someone else. It's about remembering who you already are and living like her, one small decision at a time. Hey friend, quick pause because I've got something really exciting to share with you. Thrive is back. That's right. Thrive 2025 is happening this September 8th through the 12th, and you're officially invited. If you've been craving to boost your clarity, confidence, and energy to finish the year strong, this is your moment. Thrive started as a way to celebrate my birthday during the pandemic, and now it's become a tradition. 5 days of powerful conversations, inspirations, and real tools to help you elevate every area of your life. That's our theme this year: elevate, because you're not here to play small. We've got an incredible lineup of speakers, and yes, I'll be teaching too. And you can join for just $1. Yes, $1 gives you live access to the 5 days. And we have other ticket options with replays and workbooks and VIP perks. So head to the link on the description of this podcast episode to grab your spot before it fills up. I can't wait to see you at Thrive 2025. Question number 6. Where am I outsourcing my worth? This one was big for me. There was a season where I realized my sense of value came from everywhere except myself. So this one can be quite a disruptor. It snuck up on me during a particular time, a successful season, I would say, the kind where on paper everything looked great. I was getting recognition at work, I was hitting my goals, I was getting feedback like, you're amazing, you're such a rock star, you're always over delivering. And I'll be honest, it felt really good to hear those things. But the moment those compliments stopped coming, or I missed a deadline, or when I switched jobs and no one knew me, and all of a sudden no one saw me the way I had been seen for my entire career, I started to feel anxious, unworthy, like I had to prove myself again. And that's when this question knocked the wind out of me. Where am I outsourcing my worth? Where am I hiding over the keys of my confidence to my boss's approval, to social media likes, to productivity trackers, to how on or together I seem? It's not always obvious. It can be subtle. Sometimes it sounds like, if I don't do more, I won't matter. Or if I say no, they'll stop needing me. Or if I rest, means that I'm lazy. Or if I don't show up perfectly, I'll be seen as less than. Here's what I've learned: when your worth lives outside of you, it will always be conditional. Conditional to someone else's opinion, conditional on performance, on perception, on perfection. But real confidence, true self worth, it's an inside job. You don't have to earn it, you are it. So ask yourself today, where am I outsourcing my worth? And then gently, kindly call it back. Remind yourself, my worth is not my productivity. My value is not tied to a title. I don't have to prove anything to deserve rest and love and peace. You're allowed to show up simply because you are. And that's more than enough. And if you ask me, I think you're amazing. Question number 7. What's the cost of staying where I am? We're taught to fear change, to make pro and con lists, to calculate the risk, to play it safe. And sure, every decision has a cost. Change can be uncomfortable, uncertain, sometimes even a little bit scary. But you know what we don't talk enough about? The cost of not changing. Because staying where you are has a cost too. Staying in the job that drains you, that's costing your energy, your creativity, even your health, your reputation, your brand. Staying quiet when you know you need to speak up, that's costing your peace. Avoiding rest, that's costing you resilience. Putting off your dream until later, that's costing you your time, your presence, your joy. I remember asking myself this question during a major career crossroad. Everything looked great from the outside, but I felt stuck, misaligned, like I was living someone else's version of success. I keep debating, what if I make the wrong move? What if I regret it? And then I changed those for what's the cost of staying where I am? And the answer to that question was clarity. The cause was continuing to ignore what I knew deep down. The cause was staying in a place that no longer felt like growth. The cause was slowly silencing myself. That clarity helped me make one of the hardest and most empowering decisions of my life. So today, I want to invite you to flip the script. Instead of only asking, what will it cost me to leave, to say no, to start over? Also, ask yourself, what it is it already costing me to stay where I am? Sometimes the greatest risk is to stay where you are. Question number 8. If I keep going like this, where will I be in 6 months? Sometimes it feels like a motivation, right? It's encouraging. If I keep showing up for myself, I will feel stronger. If I keep setting boundaries, I will feel more grounded. If I keep honoring my priorities, I'll move closer to where I actually want to be. Other times, it can be a wake up call. If I keep skipping my workouts, I'll feel more depleted. If I keep overcommitting, my relationships are going to suffer. If I keep avoiding that difficult conversation, the tension is going to grow heavier. If I keep numbing out with my phone every night, I'll miss out on connection and creativity that I so much crave. This question isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up. Because whether we realize it or not, every day we're casting a vote towards the future that we're building. And sometimes we just need to pause and ask, am I voting for the life that I actually want? 6 months isn't forever, but it's long enough for a lot to shift. This isn't about a radical reinvention overnight. It's about noticing the trajectory of your habits, your mindset, your choices, and then asking, do I like where I'm heading? If yes, amazing, keep going. If not, good news, you can pivot. You don't need a new year, a new job, a massive life change to start. You just need a new question and then the courage to answer it honestly. Question number 9, we're almost there. What does success feel like? Let's be honest. Most of us have been handed a script for success. It looks like a title with a corner office, a salary with more zeros, a packed calendar, a perfect photo grid, a checklist that looks impressive. But here's the thing, you can achieve all of those things and still feel empty. You can look successful and still feel anxious and overwhelmed or disconnected from yourself. I know because I've been there. There was a season in my life when, by every external measure, I was killing it. Promotions, recognition, a career path others admire, but inside I was tired and fulfilled and starting to wonder, is this really what I want? That's when I started asking this game changing question: what does success feel like to me? Not how it looks like in LinkedIn, not what other people expect, not what I thought I had to chase in my 20s, but what does success feel like in my body, in my spirit, in my day to day life? Does it feel like peace in the mornings, excitement to go to work, freedom to say yes or no, energy after work to be present with my kids, feeling deeply connected to my values and not needing to justify my choices? When you define success by feeling, everything shifts. Your goals become more honest, your decisions become more aligned, and suddenly success doesn't feel like a moving target. It feels like something you can actually live inside of. So ask yourself, what does success feel like in this season of your life? Because that might change as well. How success feels is going to change in every season of your life. But ask yourself that question and let it guide you more than a job description or a post on social media could ever. Because your success is unique to you. It should feel like you. Last but not least, question number 10. How do I want to feel today? This might be the simplest question on this list, but I genuinely believe is one of the most powerful ones. How do I want to feel today? That's it. One small question, but it can shift your entire day. Most of us wake up and jump straight into doing. We think about our to do list, the meetings we have, the errands we need to run, the appointments. But when was the last time you asked yourself, how do you want to feel? Not what you have to accomplish, not what's on your schedule, but how do you want to experience the day? This question grounds me every day. It slows me down. It brings me back to present. Each morning, before the noise starts, as part of my morning routine, I'm asking myself, how do I want to feel today? And then, just as important, I let that answer shape my choices during the day. I want to feel more energized, then probably I'm going to move my body more. I'm going to get some sunlight. If I want to feel connected, I will call a friend or linger in a conversation. If I want to feel calm, I'll block some white space in my calendar and protect it. If I want to feel more confident, I will tackle something that scares me on purpose. It's not always perfect. Life throws curveballs. We all know that. But this question gives me back my agency. Because the goal isn't just to survive the day, the goal is to live it on purpose. And when you start your morning from a place of feeling, not just function, you give yourself permission to create days that are aligned, not just productive. So, tomorrow morning, before you start scrolling, checking your email or your task list, try this. Pause, breathe, and ask yourself, how do I want to feel today? Then choose one small thing that can support that feeling. That's how we shift our days from autopilot to being intentional. So there you have it. 10 questions that have shaped my growth, my decisions, my identity, my life. And if there's one thing that I've learned in all of this is that you don't need to have all the answers, but actually you do. So let them guide you. Let them crack something open. You don't have to journal on all 10 at the same time. You can pick one and just sit with it. That's my invitation for you. Write it down, sit with it, let it lead you somewhere new. And before I say goodbye, I have a big ask for you. If this episode resonated with you, please send it to a friend who might need to ask herself or himself better questions today. As always, thank you so much for being here, for leading yourself one brave question at a time. Until next time, I'm going to be here cheering you on and waiting for the next episode to talk to you again. Have an amazing week ahead. Talk to you soon. Okay, my friend, that's all I've got for you today. But before you go, 2 quick reminders. Number 1, if we're not already friends on Instagram, let's get connected. You can find me as Leading Yourself Podcast. Number 2, make sure you're subscribed to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am incredibly grateful that you're in this journey with me. I want to leave you with one last thought. I want to remind you that you're destined for more and that every step that you take brings you closer to becoming that best version of yourself. Embrace each day as a chance to learn, grow, and chase your dreams. The world needs you to shine brightly, so go out and show up fully and authentically. Take care, and I'll see you next time.